Hey friends, it's Theresa here and welcome back to my channel. In today's process video, I wanted to share an art journal page with you, and I'm working with the Clique Kits Rainbow Sherbet kit, and so I wanted to do kind of a collage page going towards the fall end of things. I love the fall colors. Specifically working with some of the orange shades, the yellows in this kit. And so you can see some of the pattern papers that I've pulled that I plan to use. Also the cut apart sheet here with some of the butterflies and leaves. And I've got a black and white photo here. The photo is from a recent trip we took to the Concord Aquarium, and it was in dark lighting, so I made it black and white, and I think that it will end up contrasting with the other colors in the layout today. And then of course I'll introduce some other black elements to help it tie into the page. I've also got these fabulous die cuts and ephemera that came with this kit, and so I've just kind of pulled some of the things that I plan to use that look interesting to me or just feel like they belong on this layout. And I think over time you get used to just what are the kinds of embellishments that you are drawn to and that you feel comfortable working with. I think that comes with just doing, playing around and seeing how things feel when you put them on the page, or also putting it on the page, going ahead with it, and then see how you feel about it later. And that's part of what I love about art journal layouts in general, is the feeling of experimentation, and that you can put something down even if it's not quote unquote the perfect thing. Experiment with it, consider it play, consider it I'm just trying this out to see how I like this. And so a couple of things, I've prepared my page. I talk about this every time I do an art journal layout, how I prepare my notebooks. I use ordinary plain or pretty notebooks that I find out in the wild. And what I do is, before I begin working in a notebook, I go through and rip out some of the sections so that there's fewer pages, and it allows for more of the art journaling bulk that I'm going to add to it. And then I also layer several pages together using matte medium so that the pages are a little bit stronger and they're a little bit better able to handle whatever I'm going to throw at them. And so this page has been also prepared with some washi tape. You can see the light green washi, and then over top of that is a layer of gesso. And I always gesso using a rough textured, like the cheapest, roughest brush you can find, so you get those brush strokes. And a lot of times after I gesso over it, I'll add watercolor to it, but I didn't do that this time. So I consider this strictly a collage, but it's still somewhat mixed media. You know, in the end, I don't think it matters what you call it. It's just an art journal page. And so what I wanted to capture here is this photo that my husband took of me, where I'm kind of just being more lighthearted. And that's kind of what I'm trying to bring into my life right now, to be more lighthearted, to take things a little bit less serious, to laugh a bit more, be silly, and show up. Show up even if you're not feeling happy, to still show up. And so you can see here how I'm just sort of planning a few things and laying out a few things for the collage. I started out with that circle page. I love that watercolor circle, and I just cut into it. I know that's a bit scary, but remember, this is art journaling and this is experimentation and play. And so I cut it in half and sized it down a little bit to fit on these journaling pages. And then I'm using those two circle halves are kind of directing where the rest of the embellishments go. I've tucked a few strips on either side to help the layout expand across the full page or the full spread here, and also some strips on the inside so that the embellishment clusters can grow out from those pattern paper strips. I hope that kind of makes sense. Just how I sort of go about organizing this layout and organizing the elements in this layout. And, you know, a lot of this is the touch and feel method. Do I like how this feels when I set it down here? Then glue it down. It's a little bit of just, again, just playing with these die cuts, playing with these elements. You saw me cut out the quote that says, "Do more of what makes you happy." That is my title, and I just borrowed that from that Bo Bunny sheet and tucked that in, again, using that pattern paper strip as the point of where everything else flows out of. I think that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Also, just to sort of fill in a little bit more color here, just going to use some washi strips. Some of these washi strips are Heidi Swap and Simple Stories, and I think one of them, the gray one, is Tim Holtz as well. So those were items that were not in the kit, but you could use any washi tape that you have in your collection, and that's just another way to get pattern and get texture in here. I felt like the pattern paper strips were pretty abstract, and so I felt like the stripe and the plaid gave a bit more directed pattern. That's not exactly the term I'm looking for, but it made it look, it's just another pattern that's a bit more defined. That's the word I'm looking for. All right, so I've got everything adhered down. There's a combination of things between the leaves, the butterflies, the washi strips, the tickets. Those tickets are fantastic, and the 5 and 5 together make 10, which is October. You're welcome. And it's also my birthday month, so happy birthday to me. And so there's a little bit of symbolism there as well. And then I'm going to just stamp a little bit. Remember how I said I felt like in order to help that photo tie into the rest of the layout, there's going to have to be some other black elements. And so I grabbed 2 Studio Calico stamp sets. These stamp sets have been my go-to this year. I'm not sure why. There've just been some really good ones coming out. And this one here, these circles kind of remind me of pumpkins, but they also make a nice little texture. And notice how I'm just using parts and pieces. I'm not worried about whether it stamps all the way, stamps the image all the way. Just adding those here and there on top of the die cuts around the photo and overlapping those pattern paper strips as well. And then, of course, a couple of word sentiments here. And again, just using these opportunities to remind myself of what are the things that I want to incorporate or bring into my life right now. That's the primary focus of these art journal layouts for me right now. They're a positive affirmation. I call them affirmation pages sometimes because the purpose is to say, hey, you're doing a good job. And so I want to tell that to you today too. You're doing a great job, and I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for watching. I will have this up on the Clique Kits blog. It will also be on my personal blog, and all of that will be linked below for you. I hope that you'll go and pick up this kit if you haven't already. It is definitely a must-have for art journalers and collage artists out there. I'll see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.